Yeah. Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm in a weird spot. I'm not real sure why I'm in a weird spot, but yeah. Hang on, let me see if I can fix it. Because otherwise, there we go. That might look a bit better, does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm still learning how to do this. So, welcome. Thank you all for coming out on a Tuesday night. We were just talking about pizza. Made me think of Thursday. I'm always thinking of food. I'm going to talk to you tonight about subliminal shopping. I think everybody knows that subliminal advertising is illegal and has been for years in Australia, and I think it has been throughout the Western world. It's just not the done thing. And that subliminal advertising is when they hide sneaky messages in the ads that you don't consciously see, but your subconscious picks them up. So it could be just a flash of a word, a flash of a color, a flash of a logo. It could be hidden music. It's sneaky. That's what it is. It's downright sneaky, which is why it's illegal. But subliminal shopping isn't, and that I think is almost as bad. And what I mean by subliminal shopping is the shopping you do that you don't even think about. It just happens. So it's something like standing at the register as you're waiting to go through the checkout, and they have something totally random there that doesn't fit with the surroundings at all, and it strikes a chord in your brain, and you go, pick it up and pay for it, and you've bought it without even being aware that you really have done it. It's almost a reflex action. That's what I'm talking about, because those sorts of things can really kill your budget, not just your grocery budget, but your budget overall, because it doesn't just happen in the supermarket, but it will happen in the shoe shop, it will happen in the clothes shop, it will happen in the newsagents, it will happen in the furniture stores. The department stores are great at doing this, because you'll see in the clothing departments the mannequins, and they are fully dressed. They've got the jewelry, they've got the clothes, they've got the shoes, they've got the bags, they've got all the accessories that go with them. No prices showing, but you are actually seeing and recognizing the whole outfit, the full kit and caboodle, so to speak, and without even being conscious of it, it all goes together in your mind. So when you go to buy one thing, you almost automatically buy the shoes because they look really nice, buy the little jacket because it matched perfectly, the earrings looked so good, or the necklace, or whatever. And so you're spending more than you had ever planned to spend without actually even really being aware of it. It's a really dangerous thing to do, especially if you use credit cards for your purchases, because we all know how easy it is to just hand over that little bit of plastic and it goes beep or swipe, and you've spent money, but it's painless. It hasn't cost you anything. All you've had to do is whip out a little tiny piece of plastic. It hasn't put you to any physical stress at all, unlike counting out the money, counting out the cash from your purse. So sorry folks, that's my pooter going off, but let's fix that. It's I keep saying it's a really dangerous thing to do. We need to be aware when we're shopping, not just grocery shopping, but any sort of shopping. You wouldn't go shopping for a car without knowing your budget and without knowing what you want to get for your budget. And you'd be very aware then of the add-ons and the extras that are possible for that purchase and how they would fit within your budget. But when we're shopping in a regular Kmart, Target, Myer, Harris Scarf, Harvey Norman, Reject Shop, where Coles, Woolworths, Aldi, wherever, they're sneaky, and we're not always conscious of those things that just add on. And I know a lot of us can say, oh, you know, we took the kids shopping and so we ended up with extra in the shopping trolley. But if you stop and think about it, is it really because you took the kids shopping, or is it because the kids got sucked into the subliminal shopping, picked up the unconscious message and passed it on to you, and you bought the extra biscuits or the soft drink or the fancy bread rolls or whatever it was, the big bucket of ice cream because it's supposedly bigger and better. It's one of those things that really, when we go shopping, I've said it for a gazillion years, when we go shopping, we take a list and we stick to the list. If it's not on the list, we don't buy it. And that is the only way to stick to your budget, your shopping budget. And that goes for groceries, it goes for your clothes, for back to school shopping, furniture shopping. If you're shopping for homewares, might be dishes or new bed linen or whatever, you shop with a list, you know your budget and you stick to it. If it's not on a list or it's not within budget, you don't buy it. And it is hard sometimes to resist. I'll admit it's hard sometimes to resist the temptation, because they'll throw specials at us, like if you use your credit card, you'll earn bonus points. If you buy this one, you can get this one for half price. Doesn't matter that you don't need this one, you don't want this one, but it's half price. It's the thrill of the bargain too. And so almost unconsciously, you take the half price item and you're spending more than you really needed to. It's one of my biggest bugbears with shops and the way they lay things out and the wording they use in their signage and their brochures, because it's appealing to the emotion in us. And even if you think you're not an emotional shopper, chances are you are, because it appeals to you. It finds that little weakness and it digs away until you just give in. So take a list, make your budget. If it's not on the list and it's not within your budget, you don't buy it. You can go away and think about it and come back the next day, and that's what we call in our house, we call that the $100 24-hour rule. If it costs more than $100, we have to wait 24 hours before we go back to buy it. Now, chances are, if it's, you know, just clothes or some trivial thing, we don't even bother, because by the time you get home, you think, oh, really, lucky break, we didn't buy it, we didn't spend that money. So there you go. Now, who have we got talking to us tonight? Let me see.
Eve.
Eve, yes.
Narelle. Maureen. Diana. Michelle.
I'll just
Emma.
Baby.
Catherine. Liana. Karen. Priya. Jay. Jess.
And Jess. Beautiful. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It's really exciting. So I had a whole list here. Oh, another way that you can be trapped into subliminal shopping is the way supermarkets change the shelves around all the time, so that random things pop up where last week the jam was there. This week it's going to be some fancy new coffee or something. It's in the wrong spot. It's just random. It's there. It's out, and it catches your attention, and before you know it, you've gone, oh, that's interesting. Bang. And usually they'll have nice big bright yellow, red and white signs, whatever, that'll tell you it's new or special. Specials aren't always special either. So just be aware that just because it says special doesn't mean that it is actually on sale. Go figure. There goes someone else. Sorry, folks. I should turn the sound off because it's annoying, isn't it? Mind. Okay, so who's been caught? Who's fallen victim to the subliminal shopping tricks? We all have at some stage. I'll fess up and say, yes, I have. It's, you know, just the way it goes, I guess. Even I'm infallible. Most of the time I am anyway. So, but you really need to be conscious. And what made me bring this topic up, or what made me think about this topic, was last week I wasn't terribly well. I woke up on Thursday morning, early Thursday morning, and I thought I was going to lose my head. I thought it was going to blow off my shoulders. And I had this sore face, and my mouth was sore, and my jaw was sore. And I thought I had an abscess on a tooth. It turns out the tooth is sound. It wasn't an abscess. I had massive sinus infection, which just knocked me flat. So I spent most of Thursday in bed. I got up to do the show on Thursday night. Then I didn't get up again until yesterday morning. I spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday flat on my back in bed. I just could not move. So I was tired, and I was cranky, and I was irritable, and that's never a good combination with Facebook, because a comment popped up on my Facebook about how I really didn't know what I just didn't know how hard it was for families to pay the bills and to survive. It's really tough, and it's a hard thing. And when you've got kids to feed and clothe and educate and entertain and mortgage to pay, I have no idea how hard it is. Well, I snapped back, because yes, I do know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to do it with no money. I know how hard it is to do it when you've got minimum wage, less than minimum wage coming in, and you've got 2 toddlers and a baby on the way and half a house, and you live 500 kilometres in that direction from one set of parents and 500 kilometres in that direction from the other set of parents, and you have no one. You're it. So I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to not be able to go to playgroup, because not only did we not have the spare petrol to drive to playgroup, but I didn't have the spare dollar to pay the fee each week. So we didn't go to playgroup. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is when you are on a tight budget to feed your children, because there were many nights when I would tell my kids that they'd say, what's for tea? What's for tea? And I'd say, we're going to have wheat bix for tea, but shh, don't tell Grandma, because she'd say we'd have to have vegetables. And they thought wheat bix for dinner was the best thing. We were having wheat bix for dinner because there was nothing else. And the only reason we had wheat bix was because a friend gave me the wheat bix and another friend with a dairy was giving me the milk. So yes, I do know when I say it's tough. Yes, it's tough. But when I say it can be done, it can be done. If you want to do it, you want to stick to your budget, you want to pay down your debt, you can do it if you really want to. So I sat down with this, ended up sitting down with this lady. She has 4 children and a husband. So there's 6 in the family, and they're all primary school age children. She has $2,200 a fortnight clear. They pay $640 a fortnight rent. That is the cheapest rent. I don't know how that's the cheapest rent ever, which leaves them $1,560 a fortnight to pay for utilities, to pay school expenses, to the car, the telephone, food, clothes, Christmas, birthdays, whatever, haircuts, whatever. So I did some figures. So if they take out the $640 a fortnight, leaves them $1,560. So I calculated I was being slightly generous. Utilities were $200 a fortnight, school expenses $200 a fortnight, because I'm thinking back to when we had 3 kids in school, and there were camps and excursions and always extras for incursions and odd things that were happening. The car I used $200 a fortnight for the car for petrol and for registration insurance. That left $960 a fortnight. So then I thought, okay, so telecom, so phones, mobiles, internet should not be more than $100 a fortnight. And if it's more than that, then they're really overpaying, which left them $610 a fortnight to buy things like clothes, do haircuts, any medicines, birthdays, Christmas, whatever. It's a doable budget. And in fact, she was quite gobsmacked when I actually pointed out to her $2,200 a fortnight is more than my husband brings home. So she just looked at me like I was nuts. But that is more than my husband brings home. So to complain about finding it tough on $2,200 a fortnight with such a low rent, I struggled. So then I started asking about how the money was spent. So things like bottled water, buying bottled water. Really? Why? We live in a country with one of the safest and cleanest water supplies in the world. If you really, really don't trust your water supply, buy a water filter. But she said they spend $300 a month on water, on drinking water. $300 a month. And she had the gall to complain about food being so expensive. And then it was, they had to have organics because she wanted her children to grow up healthy. Well, guess what? I wanted my children to grow up healthy too, but I didn't waste money on organics. Don't get me wrong. If you are debt-free and you have money in the bank and you want to buy organic produce, go right ahead and do it. But when you are in debt and when you are struggling, you can't afford to pay 2 or 3 times the price just for the word organics in front of something. And if you are that concerned about it, grow your own. Problem solved, because that'll cut your fruit and veg bill enormously. So I bit back at this lady, and then I thought, you know what? She was talking about when she goes shopping, she takes all the children. Well, I used to take all of mine because there was no one to look after them. And she'd find not so much the kids, but she'd be looking at things. So she'd go shopping for T-shirts. And, of course, the T-shirts are always with the shorts, or they're always with the trackies, or they're always with the little dresses or skirts or whatever. So she'd buy the outfit. So she was a prime victim of subliminal shopping. Instead of just buying the T-shirts that she wanted, she bought the outfit, which would sometimes more than double the cost of what she'd planned to buy. So after I calmed down a bit and apologised for snapping at her, because I didn't really mean to snap back, but we went over some strategies, and hopefully she'll come back to me in a couple of weeks or even a month and say, look, I've been able to do this, this and this, and we're actually putting money away instead of living on credit, and we're actually paying down our debt, because they have a car loan, they have a credit card debt, they have a lot going on that they need to pay when they, you know, are doing the fallen trap to the subliminal shopping trick and buying stuff that they don't need. And seriously, for $300, she would get a fantastic fitted to the sink, to the cold water filter, and think of the bottles that aren't going to landfill. Honestly, people, bottled water is a big waste. I think I said that on Thursday too, but it's a huge waste. So used clothes are great. Priya, do you have a mother's group or a play group, or is there, if your baby's in daycare, is there a group at daycare where you can do a clothes swap? Because do you know what? Little tackers, until they reach about 4 or 5 years old, do not wear their clothes out. They grow out of them faster than they could possibly ever wear them out. And newborns, seriously, haven't got a hope in a million years of wearing out their clothes. They'll grow out of them often in a week. They can grow a size. So if you can find a clothes swap or form a group with friends and have a day where everybody comes. I think I wrote about it in this month's journal, how to do a really good clothes swap. No, there was a tip. I've written about clothes swaps before, but there was a tip of the week a couple of weeks ago in the newsletter about clothes swaps. Do it. Have a think about it. It's a great way. I used to swap clothes with some of the mums at school when the kids were in primary school, and it was wonderful because we had friends with kids that were older than mine and some with kids that were younger, and we just all swapped the clothes around. Saved a fortune. It's a great idea. Good for you, Narelle. That's what I like to see.
Off topic, but Karen would like to know, she's in Roseville, if you know or anybody knows of any suggestions to help fix her sliding door because it's not lining up properly with the strike exit thingy.
Karen, can you message me after the show and I might be able to help you. Hi, Coralie. Close the household swap. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I've had my double rant for the night. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, if Teresa's here, she shot me through a question about yogurt. She was making her yogurt using the Easy-O Greek pack, and she wanted to know if it would be all right to save some of that to use as a starter for her next batch. Yes, perfectly okay. Save 2 tablespoons, pop it in the freezer, and that can be the starter for the next batch. That was fine. That will work just as well. You don't need to go out and buy another tub of Greek yogurt. That will be fine to use. Good. Great. I was hoping you'd be listening. Beautiful. All right. Okay.
Helen said to $2,200 a fortnight. She could live like a queen on that.
$2,200 a fortnight. I'd retire. Please. Hannah's laughing. I would. Oh my goodness. Look, we had 3 kids. I had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I was pregnant, and then I ended up with a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old and a newborn, and we didn't have jobs. I'd lost my job. Wayne lost his job. We lived in a country town where his particular skill was unique, and the only employer that actually used that skill had put him off. But it didn't mean that we just sat back and went, and fell in a heap. Well, I did sort of fall in a heap for a while. It took me about 6 months to get my head around what we were going to do, but that's for another night. But I looked after a friend's kids. I taught creative tapestry in our home on Tuesday night, Thursday morning, and every second Sunday afternoon. I did mending. I took in ironing. Wayne got contract work with the local council for road rolling, and he'd do that. He got contract work out at a feedlot, and he would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and leave home at 3:30, and we'll be -4, -5, -6 to go out to that feedlot, to be there at 4 o'clock to feed the cattle. And he had to take the car on those days because it was 27 kilometres out to the feedlot. We only had the one car. We didn't have the money for me to go take him out, come back, and then go back out and pick him up. I did it once a week when I needed the car. I only had the car 1 day a week. And I would take the kids, we'd lift the kids out of their beds, put them into the seats, and Hannah was just a tiny baby, into the capsule, and we'd drive out and come back, and then I would have to lift them out and put them back into their beds when we got home again, and let them hopefully not wake up. Sometimes it succeeded. Sometimes they were up at 4:30. What the heck? That was the way. That was what we had to do. He ploughed paddocks. He picked strawberries. He picked apples. He did contract ploughing, all sorts of things. We did whatever we could to survive during that time. And you do what you've got to do. And Narelle, you know, is doing a really good job. She's got her 4 days a week and 4 days a fortnight. Isn't it? Yeah. And piecemeal work, she's doing what she has to do to survive. And that's, when people do that, whinge away, tell me how hard it is, but you're doing something about it. You're not just sitting at home going, oh, woe is me. Oh, woe is me. I have no money. What will I do? Someone ought to help me. No, someone ought not to help you. You ought to help yourself. That doesn't mean that I don't believe in charity, because I do. But I also don't believe that you can sit there and put your hand out and expect someone else to fill it for you. You can't. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for how your life turns out. You are responsible for your attitude to your life. And attitude has a lot to do with it. I could have quite easily gone, oh my goodness, in the space of 3 days, I lost my job, Wayne lost his job. We found out we're having our third baby. We had half a house. I could have just fallen in a heap and gone, what are we going to do? Someone has to help me. Someone has to do something. But I didn't. We came up with a plan to survive, and we took care of it ourselves. Not everyone is physically able to do that, but if they are, they should be. They should. I have no problem with someone who's physically unwell getting help. I have no problem with anyone getting help, and I will help any of you with advice. I'll even come and work alongside you if that's what it takes. But I don't give handouts unless you're prepared to put the effort into, because I don't think that's not a good thing. You know, I once shocked my mother. Now, most of you know, my mother's now in a nursing home. She has quite severe dementia now. But a couple of years ago, before the dementia was too bad, we were out shopping and something happened, and she turned around and said, well, the government should do something about that. And I just looked around and said, why should the government do something about it? It's your problem, not theirs. If you have a problem, you need to fix it. If you are in debt, you need to get out of debt. The government doesn't need to get you out of debt. Your next door neighbour, your family, friends, work colleagues, they don't need to get you out of debt. You need to get yourself out of debt. You got yourself into it, you get yourself out of it. And it's far harder to get out of it, so you really should try and not get into it in the first place. Simple, and that is as simple as that. Honestly, that's simple. These days, if we don't have the cash, we don't buy it. And we've raised our children to be the same. Now, Hannah bought her car a month ago.
Yep.
Just on a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah bought her car. She paid cash for her car. Now, she worked hard and she saved up and she went without things and she planned and she plotted and she did her research and she did all of this on her own, and she did not once expect us to go, we'll buy you your car or we'll help you buy your car. She did it herself, and I'm pretty sure she likes it even better.
Yep.
Because she did it herself. She bought her own car. Our boys are the same. We don't. They've all 3 kids have travelled overseas. All 3 kids paid their own way. We paid for their educations. We're their parents. So yes, we put them through school and we paid for their tertiary education. What that meant was when they got their degrees, they left uni owing nobody nothing. They did not owe a cent. They don't have any debt. They did not come out owing thousands of dollars. And you know the funny thing is, I found when AJ started uni and I went with him because I was handing over the money, I was handing over my card to pay his fees, and we'd already worked out that we'd pay the year in advance because it was cheaper. You got a discount if you could pay the year in advance. Well, because we paid the year in advance and because we paid in cash and because we paid before the due date, it actually cost less for his year at uni than it did for his last year at high school or private school. Go figure. You know? That was, I couldn't believe it. I was stunned because I knew it was going to be less because we were paying the cash in the year in advance, but I had no idea it would be so much less. Those discounts were huge. And he left uni owing nobody. He came out debt-free. He owes us. But we're his parents. We had planned, that's what we'd always planned to do. If they wanted tertiary education, we would pay for it. So we had planned that from the day he was born. And we had saved for their educations, all three of them. That's what we did. And I just tell them they've got to look after me when I'm old and crabby. They can't put me in a home. They've just got to look after me. And that will be my payback. So think about taking care of yourself and being responsible for yourself, being responsible for your spending, how you spend, where you spend, why you spend. If you're an emotional spender, I know sometimes I can be an emotional spender if I'm having a particularly, I was going to say sad day, but they're not sad days as such, but just a day, you know, just a dull day perhaps, not one of my usual where I'm busy. And I might think, oh, I just want to go, and I might just go and buy a magazine. My downfall is card making magazines at the moment. I might just go, no, well, they're $14 and $15 and $17 and $18 each. So, and really, you can get all the stuff online, Pinterest, YouTube. So most of the time, unless it's something really, really good, I don't bother. But that can be a bit of if you're an emotional spender, if something is a trigger, figure out what the trigger is and either try to avoid it or recognize the trigger and know that it's happening and be aware that your response will be that you want to spend money and find something else to keep you busy, and do it that way. So how we go?
Helen lives in the Blue Mountains.
Yes.
And then currently there are many apple trees on the highway loaded with apples. She picks them to make apple sauce, cook up, freeze, apple pies, apple chutney. They're tasty and free.
Yes, gleaning, best way. When we went to Tassie, just before we went to Tassie, we have neighbours on one side of us, and their backyard was full of fruit trees, and it used to break my heart because they would just let the fruit drop on the ground and rot. So I said to Wayne, before we left to Wayne, can you pick the oranges and the mandarins that are on our side of the fence? Which he did, and which we've done for as long as we've been here. That's what I've done. And if they're on our side of the fence, I pick them and use them. When I came home, the trees have all gone. They've chopped them down. No more free fruit. Hey. But the other morning, a couple of weeks ago, I was driving around our local area on my way out, and there was a sign tacked to a tree that said, plums are ready now, please help yourself. And it was a big plum tree and a big sign. I went up and I turned around and I came back, and thankfully we keep shopping bags in the boot of the car now, and I was able to fill up my bag. There was another woman there doing the same thing. The man came out of the house as we were there, and I said to him, do you mind? He went, no. He said, we don't like them. We don't. It was here. Well, the tree was here when we moved in. We don't eat them. We'd rather people pick them so that they don't just rot on the ground and make a mess. I went, thank you. Yes. So I was very happy. So we had free plums. If you can find that sort of thing, it saves you a fortune. And Helen's obviously full of ideas on how to use apples. Our apple tree was loaded this year. so many apples that I didn't even care with the cockies and the parrots having them. It was just so many. They were brilliant. They're not terribly big. They're just little. But boy, there were gazillions of them this year. Yeah. You do what you have to do, Priya. You did it, and look at where you are now. Miles ahead, miles and miles ahead. That reminds me of, who was it? I can't remember. It's an inspirational story. And I think it was the parents came from Vietnam and to America and were working, got a job in a bakery, couldn't, at minimum wage, and minimum wage in the US is worse than minimum wage here. And so they decided they would sleep in the back room of the bakery instead of paying rent. And they were using the bathroom in the shopping centre as their bathroom. And they did that for years, but they actually saved up until they had the cash to buy the bakery. And so they had the cash to buy the bakery, and they stuck to that living in the back room and whatever until they had the cash to buy the house. And after that, I can't remember how the story ends. It goes on, but they actually ended up very wealthy simply because they didn't have debt and they deliberately avoided debt. This might sound harsh, but I honestly believe the only debt you should ever have is your mortgage. You should never go into debt to buy a car. You should never go into debt to buy furniture. You could never go into debt to buy jewelry or a holiday or the kids' Christmas presents or anything. If you don't have the money to pay for it, you can't afford it. The only debt you should ever have is your mortgage. So, how are we going for questions, Bum?
Good.
Good? Hi, Margaret. Oh, gosh. That's lovely. Lived in a shed 20 by 30. 5 and 6 year old, worked full time, studied at uni part time, like bricks, windows, yep, solar, hot water. Wow, since 1980. So that's nearly 40 years. Wow, that's so good. Yeah, that's inspirational. That's absolutely inspirational. I love hearing things like that. I know when we bought our house, it was an old house. It was quite run down. It had the ugliest carpet you've ever seen in your life, and wallpaper everywhere, and it was really ugly wallpaper. It wasn't even nice wallpaper. Really, really ugly curtains, but it had the bones of what we needed and what we wanted. So we were able to buy it, and it took us ages to get it the way we wanted it, but we did it bit by bit, and every time a room was finished, we just felt so proud. We almost went to a happy dance. We absolutely worked really hard on that. Any tips for saving on food bills? Okay, menu plan, shop with a list, stick to the list. Be choosy about what you buy, and by that I mean don't buy expensive food. Don't buy, if you are having trouble with your food bill, you can't afford brand names, you can't afford organics, you can't afford the latest trends in whatever fad diet is going on. You just can't afford it. So you menu plan, have a look in your pantry and fridge and freezer at home, see what you've got, make your meal plan about that, then just on your shopping list, put in whatever you need to fill out that meal plan using what you've got. go to the supermarket, stick to that list. If it's not on the list, you don't buy it. If you get home and you find you've forgotten something, then find something that will substitute for it or another recipe to use the same ingredients, but don't go back to the shops. The other thing with food is don't waste it. We waste so much food in this country. Something like $1,200 a household a year on average just gets thrown in the bin because it didn't get eaten, it went bad before it could be eaten, they decided they didn't like it, or it went out of code before it could be eaten, whatever. So use what you have and don't buy things that are just good for one recipe. So if you're doing something, doing a recipe that's got that one-off, really expensive, weird ingredient, change your recipe. Until you're debt-free and until you have the money to do that, the cash to be able to do that, you can't. So don't. Think of your kitchen as a working kitchen, not a master chef's kitchen. You don't have sponsors paying for your groceries. You pay for them. So you get to choose what you spend your money on. On that note, I keep saying don't. You can't go. If you can't afford it, you don't have to go. But it's only for a short time. This is just one season in your life. So if it's going to take you 12 months or 2 years or 5 years to get out of debt, in the grand scheme of your life, that's not very long for you to sacrifice a few things. Because once you've done that and you are debt-free, you're set for life. Once you have no debt, all your money is your own. You can do what you like with it. You are not responsible to the bank or to the credit card company or to the finance company. You only have to answer to yourself. So it's just for a short time. It's not forever. And while I sound negative and saying if you can't do this and you can't do that, it's only for a short time. It's not forever. So in the grand scheme of your life, which could be, hopefully mine's going to be a lot longer, we've got a lot of time to enjoy being debt-free, because when you're debt-free, you can build savings. When you build savings, you can sit back and relax. You can enjoy life. You can retire early. You don't have to work till 67. You can retire early. You can laugh at everybody that's at 67 and still paying down debt. Nobody wants to retire owing money. Think of it that way. Okay. It's raining. It's raining, folks. Yay. I hope we get lots of rain. Bushfires here have been terrible. Okay. That's it?
That's Helen.
Oh, Helen.
The ones you're reading.
Oh, okay. Oh, do you know those Women's Weekly recipe books? I still use the original biscuit one, and I still have the original birthday cake one. And I think Mum had the Chinese cooking one, and I think I brought that, says Hannah, I think I brought that home from her house when we cleaned her house out. They are such good books. And I know they still do them to a slightly different style, but they're so expensive now. So when I first started getting them, I think they were $3.95. They were fairly cheap, although I suppose 35 years ago, $3.95 was a lot of money. But they're really good books. Look for them in op shops because they have some really good recipes. They had a basic, almost like a common sense cookery book one that was really good.
They need to get the common sense one.
Yeah,
a good one.
Hannah has the common sense, the new Australian the common sense cookery book, and it is brilliant because it is basic. It's bare bones type basic, but really tasty and interesting and not boring because, You might be able to serve mince 1,001 ways, but after all, mince is just still mince if it's boring and bland. So the Common Sense Cookery Book is well worth the money, and it wasn't expensive, was it?
$24.95 from the ABC store you bought from me.
Oh, there you go, $24.95 from the ABC shop. So probably online, but it's a really nice book. Wow, Coralie, over $1,000 a year for red joint insurance. That's brilliant. Yeah. We don't ever buy brand new cars. We tend to buy, they are 18 months to 2 years old when we buy them. So they still have some of their warranty. They've been broken in, but they're less than half the price of a new car. So it's great. Oh, I think don't give up on your dreams because someone else gave up on theirs. What a lovely way of saying keep going. That's brilliant. I think I will always still buy half price. I will always still stick to my 300. We could be millionaires with, you know, I don't know, loads of money in the bank, and I could have diamonds. No, I'll never have diamonds dripping off me because that's not me, but you know what I mean. And I will still stick to my grocery budget. I will still cook from scratch. I will still look for good secondhand or gently used before we go for something new, because I don't see the value in not doing that. If I could see the value in not doing that, then perhaps I would. But I like to get value for my money. We work too hard for the money we have. We work too jolly hard for the money we have. I don't want to waste it. I'm not prepared to do that, and I don't think any of you are either. So, oh, Maureen, did the boys like the pancake syrup? So good. Because today's Shrove Tuesday. Did everyone have pancakes?
Mm-hmm. Do you have pancakes, no?
Tomorrow I have pancakes. Sorry, Floss. Shrove Tuesday. So I posted my pancake recipe and the syrup recipe over on Facebook, but they're on the website. If you want to pop over the Cheapskates Club website, they're there. And they're really good. I love pancakes. When the kids were little, pancakes were a really cheap lunch for school holidays, and they thought they were getting a real treat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they still do. There you go. She still does.
1943.
What was 1943?
Ronna has some self-help cookbooks from 1943.
Wow.
And they have some of the best low-cost recipes.
They would, because they would have been published during the war. So they would have been basic, bare bones basic, really good recipes too. I have my mother's Common Sense Cookery Book, which is, I think, was published in 1958. But I have my mother-in-law's Common Sense Cookery Book, which she used in high school. So that would have been in the 1940s.
I think it was published in 1937. I remember looking into it.
Yeah, so it was published in 1937. They're great books. They're just really handy. I also have, if you ever come across them in op shops or whatever, it used to be the trend. It used to be the fad. Every church put out a church cookbook, or every school put out the school cookbook. Kindergartens would put out the kinder cookbook. And I have a whole heap that were put out by different churches. And they're really, really good recipes too. And pretty much pantry staples. Nothing fancy in them at all, but they're all really tasty. There's some that are, what's it called? Swiss steak. Now, I know that there are recipes online for Swiss steak, but this Swiss steak is sort of like you make flat rissoles, so sort of squarish flat rissoles, and they're cooked in a mushroom gravy. They're so good, really good. love that Swiss steak recipe. If I find it, I'll post it for you. Yeah, CWA. And CWA cookbooks are really good because they've been updated recently too, which is really nice. And what I like, I have a couple of CWA cookbooks. What I like about them is they actually give you the catering quantities. It's just brilliant. If you're doing a party or something, you know, it tells you how much tea you need for 50 people, how much coffee you need for 80 people, that sort of thing. Brilliant if you're planning a party. Absolutely brilliant. Love the CWA cookbooks. Yeah. Okay, well, no more questions? Answered them all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, have I bored you all to death? Have I waffled on for so long that you're all groaning? Are you all aware now that when you go shopping, you have to be really careful that those subconscious tricks don't make you spend more than you need to? You're going to take your list and you're going to stick to your list. Oh, I will tell you, NQR, which is a store here in Victoria, not quite right. It's a discount grocery chain. The grand opening of the Baronia store is tomorrow, 9 a.m. Now, I've been shopping at that Baronia NQR since we've been back in Melbourne 20 years. I've been shopping there. It was the smallest NQR in the state, but it was the busiest. It had the highest turnover. It was a great little shop, and the staff were amazing, but it was very small and it was interesting. So I can't wait to go tomorrow. I will be there at 9 o'clock with bells on to see the difference, and I've already got a list of things that I want to get. So I need cheese, and I want to check out the yogurt, because if it's cheaper to buy it than make it, then I will buy it. And that's sometimes, you know, sometimes buying isn't necessarily bad. If it's cheaper to buy it than it is to make it, I'm happy to buy it. I have a few different things that I want to look at and check the prices of. So I have my list ready to go. If it's not on the list, I won't be buying it. There you go. But I can't wait. So that's tomorrow morning. So I will be there just as a customer, as a sticky beaking customer for that. And there was something else. Something else. Tell me. Can't remember. It's gone. Hannah's looking at me blank. It's gone. If I think of it, I'll shoot a note over onto Cheapskates Chatter. Oh, yes, our new book is coming along. We should be finalising it this weekend. Whole year of meal plans and recipes, all based on a $300 a month grocery budget. So it's more detailed. If you've got Eat Well, Save More, or you can borrow it from the library. This is a follow-on from that, but in greater detail with the meal plans. So there'll be 12 monthly meal plans, and I'm including breakfasts and lunches as well as dinners, and the recipes and some suggestions for snacks and things, and it's all nicely coming together. And we were talking about it last night, and this weekend should see it knocked out, flat, finished, ready to go, in which case I'll be sending it off to the publisher. And so hopefully, touch wood, we will have it ready to do pre-sales mid-April, ready for shipping early May. Wouldn't that be good? I can't wait. Okay, so that's that. So please, if you've enjoyed tonight's show, give us a big thumbs up down the bottom, and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you never miss a notification that we've got a show coming up. And by all means, share the link to the video. Happy for it to go all around the world and let everybody live the Cheapskates way, debt-free, cashed up and laughing. How's that for a shameless plug? Okay, folks, I will go. I'll see you on Thursday night in the kitchen. And I'm going to be doing mixes, spice mixes, taco seasoning, all sorts of things like that. Because this is Moo Month. March is Moo Month, make our own month. So everything I do will be focused on, well, not that I do it anyway, but is focused on making our own. We're all going to be mooing this month. So, alrighty, I shall go. I've got to click end stream, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Bye.